Games Workshop. I am officially entering you into my book of grudges. Ladies and gentlemen, been a long time since I've done a video. Very sorry. However, it's been an even longer time since Games Workshop announced the Dwarfs for the old world. To be specific, and I've checked and written it down, it was on the 21st of March 2024, which, unless my maths is rubbish, means it's March to April, May, June, going on for 3 months since we had that Adepticon announcement. It looked really promising. It had what the army starter box was going to be. It gave us new miniatures. If Games Workshop are showing us what the army starter box is going to be, that surely implies that they're getting those ready to get chucked out and sold while people are really excited with the buzz and they really want to get hold of the stuff. Not to show us it and wait for 3 months. I was hoping to be enjoying some roaring fires, malt beers, ripe meat off the bone by now. And instead, I've got nothing. Absolutely nothing from them whatsoever. It's easy to sound very bitter about all this. And even more so because actually I was on the Dwarf Facebook page and a user there uploaded a screenshot of what looked like an email to maybe a third-party supplier, a friendly local gaming store, if you will. And in that screenshot, it said from Games Workshop that they had no plans for any releases in July, at least as far as the old world goes. Which means we're going to have to wait until August at the very earliest. 4 months! Goodness me, 4 months since the Adepticon announcement before anything can come out. It might even be longer. Who knows? Well, the rumours I've heard are that the Age of Sigmar version 3 release has pushed it all back. And that's probably fair enough. Age of Sigmar makes Games Workshop a lot more money than the old world does. And if Age of Sigmar has had more pre-orders than they expected and is showing that there's going to be a lot more demand for it than expected, then obviously they're going to have to cater to that over the demand for the old world. So they're going to shelve any plans they have for making dwarf plastics, presumably, in order to make the new Skaven and Storm people, Stormhost people. Yeah, to make those plastics. So, it's going to be tough for old world players, but it's understandable. But it still sucks. I always try to be positive on this channel and try to make sure that we have a kind of realistic expectation for what the old world is going to be. I've even argued that the fact that it's a specialist game and doesn't get lavished all the attention that the Age of Sigmar and 40k get is a good thing. And I still think it is. It's just it feels rubbish, doesn't it, when we get canned for one of those games. Looking ahead, I'm bringing a bit more positivity in. Games Workshop have in the last few days announced that they're going to be building a new factory, or at least they've got plans and put in planning permission to build a new factory at their Lenton site, which will give them loads more manufacturing space. And they also have announced plans to double the size of their tool store. Hopefully, these two things are going to mean that they can pump out the big games at the same rate that they currently do, but that old world and other specialist games can be kind of brought up to a more reliable release schedule. And that therefore we'll actually see armies come out quite quickly when they announce them. Of course, it takes a long time to build a factory. By the time that thing comes online, with any luck, all the old world factions will be out. Even if we have to wait 4 months for every army, I guess there's once the dwarfs are out, there'll be 5 more to go, won't there? So that's sort of almost 2 years at that slow rate. I could see it taking 2 years to build a factory. Maybe a bit less, but it's not going to make a huge difference, is it? So really, that announcement's possibly a bit redundant for us as of now. If they bring in new factions in future, like they've kind of rumoured and hinted that they might do, happy days if that does have a positive impact. But for us right now, Nah, nothing. So really, I guess we're left asking what this means for the old world as a game. It's definitely going to have a detrimental impact. I've seen people already say that they want to play it, but they can't be bothered really because they can't get hold of a rulebook, can't get their Ravening Hordes or their Forces of Fantasy book, and now the army that they want to play isn't available. It drives you onto eBay, so you're paying awful, horrific, eye-watering prices, or it drives you to third-party printers, which, fair enough, if that's what you want to do, but not everyone wants to do that. I don't. I want to stick with the actual plastics that I had way back in the day. It's all about nostalgia, isn't it? The old world is ultimately about nostalgia, and nostalgia is best served kind of instantly. It's a bit of an instant dopamine hit. You don't want to wait 4 months to get something, or even longer if you still can't get a rule book. As I said before, I like to try and remain positive on this channel, and in that vein, I suppose what I can say is that it's a specialist game. We expected that it wouldn't get the support that 40k and Age of Sigmar get, and that it would take longer for things to come out. And actually, a lot of us players for the old world, if it is trading on nostalgia, which I feel like it probably is in most cases, we are all going to be older. And when you get older, you learn more patience. So we're kind of okay waiting for this stuff. It's just, how far does that patience stretch? And it feels a bit rubbish that Games Workshop are in effect relying on us just holding on that little bit longer to get hold of the stuff. It also seems a bit silly that if Age of Sigmar is the reason that they've kind of canned the Dwarf release for a bit, that they couldn't cater for it, in the sense that they planned these things years ahead of time. They knew Age of Sigmar was coming out when it came out, and they knew the Dwarfs were going to be released when they wanted to release those. Surely they could have done something. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of Games Workshop's functioning, and maybe they are really up against it with their manufacturing. And, you know, I guess with the cost of building a new factory and building your new plastic tools and what have you, you need to make sure that you're going to have high demand consistently before it's worth investing in that. And so what that means is that you're going to be pushing up against the limits of what you can currently do for quite a while before you're convinced that it's worth taking that plunge. You don't want a temporary spike in demand. You build a new factory and then that demand drops off and you're left with this big factory that you can no longer afford. So it's kind of understandable. I just worry that if this keeps going and it takes us two and a bit years to get all the old world armies out and available, and that even then there might be some supply shortages and you can't get stuff when you want it, and when you do, you're made to orders when they bring those out, that it takes 180 days or something. I've had my Bretonnian made to orders come through, but I know people that are still waiting for it. That was, what, February? End of January? Something like that? A long time ago. So really, we are the poor relation in terms of the Games Workshop stable. I knew we would be, but I didn't think we'd be this poor. But hey, what can you do? I suppose, really, at the end of the day, we still have Old World. We know this stuff will come out eventually. And as rubbish as it is, we've got no choice but to sit here, sit tight, and just wait. So, I feel a bit dejected. But I'm going to hold on to that. And let's all hold on to that. Let's not let the old world just become a mess of negativity and complaining and moaning and whining. Let's just take what we do have and kind of keep KBO, as Winston Churchill would say. And if you want to know what that means, Google it. Yeah. Hopefully, this isn't going to be a Khazad-dûm too far for Games Workshop, and they can start to get the stuff out on a more reliable release schedule. But until they do, I'll catch you next time, folks. See ya!